Do you want to learn how to pick the right type of pectin to make jams, jellies, and even chewy candies?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to cover all of our types of pectin and how to make a great grapefruit marmalade, strawberry jelly, and even chewy candies. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. And here on WTF, every week we cover unique ingredients, techniques, we share fun recipes and demos so that you can get started in advancing on your culinary journey. So remember, subscribe, ring the bell, do whatever it is today that you need to do to get notified of our content. It comes out every single Tuesday. Okay. So today we're actually going to be doing a follow-up to one of our very first WTFs ever, which is all about pectin. Because we get a lot of calls and emails here about what type of pectin do I use, when do I use it, how much of it do I use, and because we carry so many different types, it can be confusing. So today, Scott's going to cover exactly what the differences are, and of course, a few recipes and common applications on when to use each one. All right, Scott, we have 4 different types of pectin here. Can you maybe just kind of high level, how do people understand what the differences are?
Sure. So we're going to start at the top. There's HM pectin and LM pectin.
Okay.
The first one we're going to cover is HM pectin. HM pectin is that most common pectin that people are looking for, something that you're going to use with sugar, something you're going to use with fruit. If you wanted no sugar, then you would go with LM pectin, but we can talk about that later and how that works. So HM pectin, there's 2 types. There's rapid set and slow set, and it's very simple. Once you understand what it's used for, rapid set is if you're making home jam and you're canning at home, you're going to put it in there, heat it up, and then put it into your refrigerator and let it set, or even onto your shelf and let it set. You want rapid set. If you're just doing it at home, rapid set's perfect for whatever you're making. Now, if you're doing large batches, say you want to do a farmer's market, or you want to even industrial, commercially sell your jam or jelly, you're going to use slow set.
Okay.
It's just going to take longer to set up. You're not going to have to worry about it setting in the heating vessel or anything like that. It's just going to take a little bit longer. Now, if you're looking for apple pectin, yellow pectin, all these names that people call them, fruit pectin, all those things, this is going to be HM pectin. Okay. So when everyone's looking for those, because they're labeled like that by different brands, this is HM pectin, which is high methoxyl pectin. So let's do a quick demo, and when we're done with that, we can kind of jump into LM pectin, because I want to show people just how easy it is to work with HM pectin. So this is a rapid set pectin. We're going to make strawberry jam, but it's kind of brought up to the next degree, right? We wanted to make the most flavorful strawberry jam that complements the strawberries the best. So first I'm going to start with just our liquid, which is a little bit of white wine and a little bit of red wine. Now you can substitute both these for rosé. You can do whatever you want with it. If you say don't like red wine or white wine, you can use grape juice, whatever. But I like the red wine and white wine. It's not going to add any extra sugar, but it's going to add that acid. And acid is one of the things that makes HM pectin work. 2 things make it work: high percentage of sugar and acid. So without those 2 things, it really won't fully set up. It won't get that jam or jelly texture like that. When you spread it, it stays really beautiful on top of like whatever it is, say an English muffin like we have here. So I'm just going to heat this up quickly, just to get a little bit of the alcohol off of our wine. But then we just have strawberries, and we cut them in quarters. If you like more of a pureed type jelly or jam, just mash these up and you can put them right in there. But we want them to be in quarters. So while this is starting to steam, I'm just going to add in my strawberries, and the natural juice will come out of the strawberries themselves. Now, while that heats up a little bit, I'm going to show you what you do with your pectin. So I'm going to add my pectin directly into my sugar, and I have a little bit of citric acid here that's also going to help that pectin set.
Okay. So if they don't use any wine or any type of other acidic liquid, do they just add more citric acid to get that acidity, or do you have to add acidic liquid?
It works below 3.5 on the pH scale.
Okay.
to some people that might just sound like
right.
gibberish. So what that is you want to have a good little bite to the acidity. If you taste it and you get that little kind of pinch in your cheek, you're about the right acidity for what you're doing. And yes, if you are making this at home and you're not familiar with citric acid or anything like that, for about 1 pint of jam or jelly, you're going to use a teaspoon.
Okay.
So it's really kind of simple ratio that you can do there, because this is 1 pint that we're making, and I just use 1 teaspoon of citric acid. And it is also to taste. If you want it to be a little bit more acidic,
right.
Balanced with the amount of sugar that you have to add. All right. So I have my strawberries in here. The wine is starting to simmer. I have some honey, some nice local honey we have. I'm just going to get that out. So whatever your flavors are for your jam or jelly, you can add them. If you don't like strawberries or anything, you could add any other berry to this and it'll work just fine.
Perfect.
In the exact same amounts. And also vanilla. So every little thing we can do to kind of accentuate that strawberry, we're going to do it.
Right.
So I have my pectin, citric acid, and sugar mixed all up in here. And I'm just going to move some of the fruit out of the middle because I want to get into that liquid, and I'm just going to stir it in. So now, some people have asked me recently, and this is actually great that we're filming this today because a question just came in, and people were saying, well, don't I have to heat it, then I need to put it into the jars or containers and then heat it again, right? So if you are using a sterilized jar and you are heating your strawberry liquid up to a boil, this is also going to be sterilized.
Right.
As long as there's no contaminants between here and there,
right.
you don't have to worry about it. If you put it in there and you put the sterilized lid on top and you let it sit on your counter, it will set. It will seal that jar because it's hot enough and it's continuing to sterilize the inside if it is above 185 degrees, which is boiling is 212 Fahrenheit. So as we're mixing this up, you can see we just want to barely cook those strawberries so that they release their liquid. I'm going to lower it down just a little bit, just below a boil, and let that go. But you can already see the pectin doing its job by thickening, because at first it will thicken, and then when it cools, it will set. So I'll put a little bit on here. By the end of the shoot, it should be all set. But I can take this right now, depending on how cooked I want my strawberries. I can take this, put this into jars. As long as they are hot enough and they are sterilized, I can have them to be, canned and ready to go on my shelf or even into my refrigerator or eaten within an hour or so. So it's very simple to do to make a strawberry jam.
It really is, yeah.
If you don't want to eat all that sugar, we have to go to LM pectin.
Okay.
LM pectin is a pectin that is low methoxylation, which means it needs something else to gel.
Okay.
It doesn't need sugar. Actually, if too much sugar, it won't work.
Right.
And if there's too much acid, it won't work. So it works in the opposite way. It uses calcium.
Okay.
So it needs to have some sort of calcium in it to gel. Now, the way you get it sweet, because I did make a grapefruit jam here, or a grapefruit marmalade, and grapefruits are generally a little bit bitter. They do have some sugar content to them, but you definitely have to balance it with something else. I use xylitol. Xylitol is a sweetener that we have here, and it's very close to the same sweetness as like granulated sugar, but you don't have to worry about it messing up your pectin.
Okay.
So if you're going to be adding the LM pectin to this, you would make it the exact same way. You would just mix the LM pectin with the xylitol, and then we have to add a calcium. And a calcium you can add is calcium lactate gluconate. I would not add something like calcium chloride. Yeah, exactly, because that's
very salty.
Yeah, very salty kind of flavor to it, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to change what you're putting into the jar. But the same method, you heat it up, cook it to the point where you want it, put it into your sterilized jar, can it, and it's ready to go. You don't have to worry about, boiling it again and then trying to get those boiled jars out with something, which is always dangerous. So as long as it's hot going in and this is sterilized, you're going to be good. But it's super simple. until you go, oh wait, there's 2 LM pectins.
Exactly. I was about to say, I was like,
people.
What about Amidated?
Yeah. So LM pectin, like I said, requires calcium. And if you go to the store or you've used a calcium gelling pectin before, it's usually called like a universal pectin, which is like a branding name for it, but the real name is LM pectin. There's 2 types. The regular LM and then amidated. And amidated is a word that's very kind of difficult or intimidating because not many people know what it is.
I don't know what it means.
So amidated is changed so that it only needs a very small amount of calcium. Between 10 and 13 milligrams per gram of LM pectin. So it's a very small, like things like blackberries will just gel on their own when they're added to it because they have enough natural calcium in them. You can also do other types of fruits and you just add your own calcium to it, but it just takes a very small amount of calcium and then boom, it works. So it'll set up, it'll gel up, you know, as you make it. I can actually see this starting to gel up already. You can see it right there. So this is perfect.
Yep.
All right, so, and our cooled one should be ready very soon. Then we wanted to put it on something, so we made some English muffins, and that recipe is going to be on the blog as well. We don't have to cover it too much. It's just a great little rustic kind of English muffin recipe.
It looks good.
Yeah, lots of nooks and crannies, and yeah, it goes great with the jams and jellies. But like I said before, you can take either one of these, and then you can change the flavor. You can make any type of marmalade. You can even remove all the grapefruit that's in this and replace it with any fruit. And this base recipe could work with anything. So just know that as long as you are you know, following the amounts of water and pectin, it's going to work.
Yeah, and as always, you can get all of today's recipes on our blog, which all the links will be in the description below, as well as I think a really handy dandy chart that actually lays out a lot of the stuff that Scott just talked about. So if you're like, I'm diligently taking notes, but it's a lot of information, don't worry, go to the blog. The chart will be there for you to reference, so you can get this information at any time.
It's from my handy dandy notebook. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, well, I want to eat this, but like before I eat this, one of the things that people have also been like emailing and calling in a lot about is, you know, like I want to make a pectin gummy. So they want that gummy bear texture, but they want to make it with a pectin. So what can you talk a little bit about, you know, like what exactly is going on there?
Yeah, so that's a really common question is people are looking for a way to make a type of gummy that doesn't require gelatin all the time. Right. And pectin is one that people go to because it's used a lot for this type of thing. But when you go to try to make it, it doesn't necessarily work. It's very soft. So when you have something very soft like that and not super chewy, it's called pâte de fruits or pâte de fruits, depending on where you're from. And what that is just like a really soft, pretty much jelly that you have. It's not that chewy that you're looking for. But to change it and make it chewy, you actually have to mess with the sugar. So you have to heat the sugar to about 235, 240 degrees while you have the entire mixture. And then there's also another thing, and you can see we did an Instagram video of it because it's really cool. Once you get it up to that point, you take a small solution of the citric acid. So it's not in there already. When you add the citric acid at the end, it starts to gel.
Oh, interesting.
So you kind of hold off so you're able to cook that sugar, and that's where people, you know, don't necessarily, because here with pectin, I can just add the citric acid and it works. But when I do a jelly or like a gummy or a chewy candy, I have to wait till the end because I have to be able to cook that sugar. If I add the citric acid too early, it's going to set and burn, and I don't want that. So so you have to cook the sugar and then you add in the citric acid right before you pour it into a mold. And once it sets, coat it in sugar, cut them, roll them, and eat them. And Janie, if you want to try one, actually, I'm going to try one too. I'm going for the grape.
I'll go for flavor. What's this white one?
Delicious. It's lemon. So
oh no, my least favorite flavor. Too late. But anyway, so I think just kind of thing we also want to highlight here is just that when you do these, you're not going to get a traditional gummy bear. And if you do want something that's closer to that, we would probably recommend checking out our Druids Grow vegan gelatin. And there's an entire separate WTF and like recipes all about that. But if you are looking to make a really nice pectin candy, then this is probably the right product for you.
Yeah, and these are chewy. They're soft, but they have a nice bite to them. You're never going to get that bounciness that you would get from gelatin. It's not the same product. One is a protein, one is a carbohydrate. So they're not going to work that way. And we also wrote an entire article on it, which is probably going to be in the link in the description below. So you can go there and read all that. So we have tons of different things for you to be able to understand these different types of pectin, so you can figure out what you need and when you need it.
Yeah, and right before we wrap up, I just want to take a quick 30-second, and we should mention NH pectin only because it's pretty special, and we have another WTF all about that, so we're not going to go crazy diving into it, but just mention it because people are going to see it on that conversion chart on the blog.
Yeah, so NH pectin, very simply, is an LM pectin, an amidated LM pectin that already has the calcium in it required to gel, so you can just use that as a kind of a one-stop shop for your LM pectin needs. So you can take that, put it in there, and one great thing about it, thermo-reversible. So let's say I mess something up, I can take it out, put it back into a pan, melt it back down, which you can't do with HM pectin. Melt it back down, and then I'm able to re-jar it, can it, set it, whatever I need to do.
Okay. Well, this was a lot of information, so hopefully you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about pectin, and hopefully walking away with like, oh yeah, I think I know which type of pectin will be right for me in the future. And if not, at least you'll have the resources to go find out at which time you need them. So from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.
Thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you get notified when we drop a new video.
To get today's recipes and all of our recipes, remember to go to blog.modernistpantry.com where you'll get recipes, ask a chefs, tips and tricks, and more.
And if you haven't already, tell a friend so they know what's going on here at WTF.
And as always, to get any of the ingredients you saw today, you can go to modernistpantry.com to shop.
And until next time, we'll be here in the test kitchen helping you create memorable and magical experiences.